Craft distilleries are growing here in Portland, and I'm here on Distillery Row in Southeast to show you how whiskey, brandy, and gin are made. So let's go.
I'm Christian Krogstad from House Spirits Distillery here in Portland. We started up 6 years ago. Our flagship brand is the Aviation Gin. It's about half of our production. But we initially started off with our whiskey production, and it's just taken years for that to be released, and we've got an unaged white dog that we bottle just essentially right off the still. It's the way whiskey was made 150 years ago. We also have, when it's available, an aged amber whiskey that is delicious Oregon pure malt whiskey. The distinction between whiskey and brandy is that brandy starts its life as some sort of fruit wine, whereas with whiskey, it starts out as grain that is then fermented to produce some sort of beer. Maybe not a beer that is fit to drink, but it's technically a beer. And so any distilled beer is a whiskey, and any distilled wine is a brandy. There's so many breweries in Portland, and we're friends with a lot of them, and so we've worked out arrangements where we use their mash tun, their brew kettle, to make a mash. It's about 650, 700 gallons in a batch. We bring it over and then ferment it in fermenters here. After about 5 days of fermentation, we load it into the still, distill it once, get it up to about 30% alcohol. That's called low wines. Then we distill it a second time, gets it up to about 60% alcohol, which is the spirit, and that either goes into barrels for aging or it gets cut down to about 50 proof, or 50% rather, and bottled as the white dog. Most of the whiskey and brandy gets its color from the barrel, from the toasted or charred oak inside the barrel. So it's caramelized sugars that are occurring in the oak. You know, the reason we open at 11 is people who are really serious about tasting want to taste before noon, before lunch, when their palates are sharpest. And professional tasting panels, whether they're in breweries, wineries, distilleries, typically do their flavor analysis before lunch.
In the morning?
In the morning, usually around 11 o'clock.
I'll be here before work every day.
I'll be open at 11.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm Erica Deegans. My husband Sebastian and I own Stone Barn Brandy Works.
Walk me through the process.
Well, first of all, we get a lot of fruit at one time. We get a bin of fruit, which is about 900 pounds of fruit. We chop them up, we core them, we seed them, we take the stem out, we grind them up in our grinder here. For each batch that we put into the still, there's going to be about 300 pounds of ground up apples. Vodka stills will have a lot more levels and plates. This has 4, so we want to preserve the flavor characteristic of the fruit that's our base. It climbs in temperature over the course of 2 to 3 hours, depending on how slowly we want to cook it. And then when it reaches critical temperatures, the distillate keeps climbing up through these portholes until it's at a high enough temperature where it travels across the tube and then condenses through this column, and the distillate comes out there.
Then it goes into these containers. What are these called?
Those are the carboys, and for the apple, actually, we will age it in a barrel because we want an oaked, which is what the coloration of the apple is right here. We want it to be oaked and have those flavors. So we'll put it in a barrel and age it for about 4 months to 5 months. This bottle represents about 30 pounds of apples.
30 pounds of apples in this bottle right here.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, how can we find you?
We have a website, which is stonebarnbrandyworks.com. We're also searchable through the Distillery Row website.
All right, well, I'm gonna take this and go have a little drink, and thanks for having me, Erica, and I'll be back to do some more tasting.
Welcome, Kelsey. I'm Tom Berklow. This is New Deal Distillery. We've been around since 2004. Most people have this idea that gin is somehow vodka that's been flavored. And That is somewhat true, but it's not fully true. You can actually make a gin out of any spirit at any stage. And the juniper can be introduced almost at any point. Like I said, traditional methods go back, they threw it in with the fermentation. Gin number one, we start with pure spirits that we make over in our vodka stills, which, you know, create a 95% pure spirit. After that, we get this very, very clean spirit, and then we bring them over to one of our 2 gin stills. And we actually can't show you one part of the Gin 1 process because we actually built a special still head that can collect oils and essences and heavier elements that usually aren't collected during distillation. You put a botanical tray above the boiling spirits, and then the vapor comes through and extracts like the lighter aromatics. And that would be the Gin 3. Now the Gin 1, like I said, we have a different technique that somehow collects heavier elements. Most people don't realize that most things that come out of the still come out anywhere from 60 to 95%, which is okay for distillers to drink, but for the average person, maybe not. So we have to add some water, measure it, take it down to whatever we're bottling. The gins, we bottle at 46%, and then we take it over to our bottling station, fill the bottles, and ship it out.
All right, Tom, I'm ready. We got number 1 and number 3 gins here. Why is number 1 this different color?
Number 1's different because we use a very special still that collects heavier oils, essences, and tannins during the steam distillation portion of the gin creation, versus the number 3, which is more traditional, where only the lighter elements get pulled through.
Okay, here we go. Very nice.
And number 1, you're going to get more of the full flavor of juniper. Also, you're going to get elements of the juniper you're not used to tasting, almost like more earthy, more almost of the wood.
Well, thank you so much, Tom, for having me here at New Deal. I'm going to be back. When can I come and sample again?
We're open every Saturday and Sunday for tours and tastings.
Get down to Distillery Row now so you can say you knew them when.